Hello, my name is Sonia Ray. I am a grants and programs manager with Denver Arts and Venues. You'll see my uh, email address on the screen. So please take note of that if you have any questions at all while you're filling out this grant or about anything else to do with arts and venues. You should feel free to contact me anytime. What we're going to do is we'll start with an intro to Denver Arts and Venues, and then we'll talk about 5 Points Jazz and the 5 Points Jazz grants. Then we'll go through the application questions one by one. I think that will help you prepare once you get online and you get into the meat of the application. And then once we finish all of that, we'll open it up for Q&A, and I can go back to any of the slides that you want to see. So this session is being recorded, but we will end the recording before the Q&A. And we'll be posting this online for folks who are looking for information but weren't able to attend the webinar. So we are Denver Arts and Venues. And who is Denver Arts and Venues? Denver Arts and Venues is the City and County of Denver's arts agency. We own and operate a number of very large venues around the city, including Red Rocks and the Performing Arts Complex, the Convention Center, the Coliseum, McNichols Building, and up-and-coming Loretto Heights. The funds that are generated from these venues, once all of the maintenance and the staffing is paid for, any profits that come out of those venues gets plowed back into the community in the form of grants and programs. And so here are images of some of the venues that we run. Very, very large venues, lots of staff, big programming. And if you go to our website, you'll see information not just about that, but about all of our grants and cultural investments. So here's a snapshot of one of our web pages. If you go to grants and then you click on the grants tab, that will take you to all of the grant opportunities that Denver Arts and Venues has to offer, including the 5 Points Jazz grants. And then we have other programs as well with opportunities that you should check out, including the 16th Street Performers Network. That is application open right now. If you apply for and are accepted to the 16th Street Performers Network, you join a roster of performers that the Downtown Denver Partnership can choose from to activate the 16th Street Mall. So this is part of the city's effort to really get things going downtown and to activate the downtown area. And we're doing that in partnership with Denver Downtown Partnership. And then there is Art Drop Day, the first Tuesday in September. More about 5 Points Jazz, the Mayor's Awards for Excellence in Arts and Culture. Anyone can nominate themselves or another artist or organization for one of these awards. And we'll be opening up those nominations and applications in June. And then we also have various public art opportunities for visual artists who are interested in making our downtown spaces and our city spaces all around the city more beautiful. So now I'm going to talk about 5 Points Jazz. This is the beautiful Linda Theus Lee, who performed last year at the 5 Points Jazz Festival. As you may know, inflation is a real thing. And 5 Points Jazz, we found we were spending for the 5 Points Jazz Festival a vast amount of money on infrastructure and security, and a very tiny amount of money on artists. And that felt wrong. We, as the city arts agency, what we really want to do is elevate artists and the arts in the city. So welcome to 5 Points Jazz. This is a new investment of $225,000 in the 5 Points neighborhood to bring jazz and jazz-related programming to the neighborhood all year long. And we are doing this with help from the Five Points Business Improvement District and Councilman Watson's office. So the way this works is that we are going to be providing $125 to the Five Points bid for ongoing jazz programming in the neighborhood, including their First Friday Jazz, Jazz Roots. Jazz Roots includes arts exhibitions, vendors, jazz performances. They'll also be supporting jazz in Curtis Park throughout the summer. And then $100,000 of that $225,000 investment is going to the Five Points Jazz grants. These are grants of up to $10,000 for any project or program that is jazz related. So it could be hiring of jazz musicians for your venue. It could be presenting dance or visual art exhibition that is about jazz or the history of jazz. And what you're seeing here is the webpage that you will get to if you click on the Five Points Jazz Grants tab. And if you click on Apply Now, that will take you to a new site, which is the portal called Submittable, where we post all of our applications. And here is the page on Submittable. When you go to Submittable and you sign in, you will see all of the grant opportunities and programming opportunities available to you. And this is the snapshot from yesterday. So you'll see both the Five Points Jazz grants and the 16th Street Performers Network, both great opportunities for artists looking for performance opportunities in Denver. If you don't have an account with Submittable, you'll need to set one up. It's very basic, username and password. And when you go to the homepage, you'll see this. You'll input your password and continue to put in your email. You'll continue and put in your password, and that will take you to the application page. And then you'll see something about the criteria of each of the programs. So here is about the Five Points Jazz grants in particular. So the goal of these grants is to support jazz performance and jazz-related programming and activities in the Five Points neighborhood, but a very specific area of the Five Points neighborhood. And that is the area where we used to host the Five Points Jazz Festival. So this is an opportunity to elevate that neighborhood, replace, if you would like, the Jazz Festival with year-round programming in the same footprint. And the grant criteria, all of the projects and programs must take place by December 31st, 2025. We are going to make this an annual grant, which means that we're starting a little bit late this year. We'll be opening up the grant again around October, November for any activities happening in 2026. So this first round of funding is just for programming happening in 2025. Obviously, they must be used for jazz-related programming, tours about jazz history in the neighborhood, new performance pieces, jazz music, visual art, etc. And if you have any questions about whether or not your project or program might be eligible for this funding, you can contact me. I'm happy to get on a call with you and talk it through with you. All programming must be accessible to the public. This is public funding, so we want you to be able to open it up to our entire community. We have all of our grants are adjudicated by a selection panel. And for this panel and others, we try to bring in people who have a connection with the community or the art forms that are being represented. And this grant program is no exception. So there'll be representatives from Councilman Watson's office, from the local jazz community, and a representative from someone on our Commission of Cultural Affairs, and members of the Five Points community. One other thing to note is that you cannot apply for or receive, you can apply for, but you cannot receive funding for the same project from multiple Denver Arts and Venues grants. You can apply for other grants outside of Denver Arts and Venues, but for Denver Arts and Venues, if you're applying for funding from us for 5 Points Jazz grants and you receive funding, then you cannot apply for another grant program. Now, this doesn't apply to the 16th Street Performers Network because that is not technically a grant. That's a roster of artists that we are presenting to Downtown Denver Partnership for them to hire as and when those artists would be suitable for an activity that they want to have on 16th Street. So I would encourage you to apply for both if you are a performer. Here is a map of the area that where eligible projects can take place. This map is on the website as well. And as you can see across the bottom, it covers 20th Avenue between Broadway and Downing, and then going up on the right side, Downing Street between 20th and 31st Avenues. There's a little upward line towards the left, that's Downing Street between 20th Avenue, 20th Avenue and 32nd Street between Downing and Arapahoe. And then it goes down Arapahoe Street to Broadway and then down Broadway back to 20th Avenue, and covering both sides of the street. So any projects or programs for this grant funding must take place within that bounded area. So now we'll go to the application questions. Starting out very basically, just contact information. If you are an individual artist, your name and contact information. If you're a business or a nonprofit organization, then we also would like the contact information of the person who is taking the lead on the project or program that you're applying for funding for. Website, if you have one, your mailing address, the council district where your organization resides or where you as an individual reside if you're applying as an individual, the name of your project or program, and then how much you're requesting funding for. And you can request funds for up to $10,000. The location of the project or program, which must happen within that shaded area of the map, and then a description of your project or program. We'd also like you to upload a timeline or schedule of events, include the names of any artists that you're planning to hire or artist groups you're planning to hire as part of your programming. Detailed budget that shows how the grant funds will be spent. A list of any active partners that you are working with. So if you, for example, are an organization that is outside of the 5 Points community, but you would like to present programming inside the 5 Points community, who are you partnering with in the community to bring that performance to life? And then a little bit about how the project meets the goals of this program, which is to support jazz performance and jazz-related activities in 5 Points, to celebrate the history of jazz, and to foster a new generation of jazz artists in the neighborhood. Describe your knowledge and connection to the 5 Points community. We really want this to be a very grassroots community-centric program. So let us know what your connection is, who you're working with, and how that is going to activate and enliven 5 Points. And then let us know how you're going to promote your project or program. We'll ask you your primary artistic discipline. There's a drop-down menu and an other if you don't see your primary discipline listed. And then for supporting documentation, we'll ask you to upload a Word document that contains links to videos, audio, images to support your application. This is really so that our selection panel can get a sense of who you are and what kind of work you do, see how you perform. Um, it's really helpful for our selection panel. So I encourage you to put your best foot forward in that part of the application. And then we also need a W-9 from you. That should have your current address, or if you're a business, your business address, where the funding would be sent if you were to receive funding. And then there are a bunch of demographic questions that are optional. So as you go down, as you enter the application, you'll see those. The deadline is the 31st of March. Once again, projects need to be completed by December 31st, 2025. This is only for 2025 programming. We will be launching a new round of applications for 2026. And that will open sometime at the end of this year so that we can get that funding out the door a little bit earlier in 2026. If you receive funding, we're going to ask you to provide a schedule of events, a program description. This is partly so that we can promote it. We have social media activity and a newsletter, and we would really love to promote your projects and your programs. So please send us that. We're trying to put together a form for you to make it easy for you. So we'll be, just so you know, we'll be asking you for that information. And then at the end of the funded period, we'd love to know who was your audience, how many people attended, images and photos. All of this is really useful for us to help us tell your story and to tell the story of the arts in Denver. And once again, other programs occurring outside of the 5 Points Jazz Activation Fund footprint can apply for funding through the Arts and Culture Fund. That's another grant opportunity that we'll have opening up a little bit later this year. This is only for activities happening within that footprint. And that's all. And I will go on to questions now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for Q&A. Please put your questions in the chat. Do you have to be a Denver resident to apply? No, you don't, but you do need to have a connection to 5 Points. So yeah, you don't have to be a Denver resident to apply. We know a lot of great jazz artists and musicians who live in surrounding neighborhoods. So any other questions? Can multiple organizations that are based outside of 5 Points partner with the same venue inside 5 Points? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When will the grant actually be administered? The application closes March 31st. We are hoping to have the selection panel in mid-April and have the funds out the door in May. And if you have worked with the city, you know that sometimes timelines are not adhered to in the way that we would like, but we have a new mechanism for distributing grant funds this year, which has been much faster. So we're fairly confident we'll be able to get this funding out in May or early June at the latest. We really want to have it out the door on time for summer programming, which we know is a big time in 5 Points. Can an artist like a painter whose subject matter is jazz related be part of this grant? Yes, absolutely. But you would want to work with a venue in 5 Points to show the work. So we would love to support you in creating the work, but only if you can find a place to show it. We want all of this work to be open and available to for the public to enjoy. And if you need help finding venues to exhibit work, you can also contact me and I can perhaps put you in touch with a few folks in Five Points. The library is also a great place to start. The Blair Caldwell Library regularly has exhibitions. Any other questions? Does Mercury Cafe count as one of the eligible venues for grant funding? I'm not sure if they're only if they're in that footprint. And forgive me, I should have checked to see if they were. I don't know if they are. If they're in the footprint that is designated, then they are eligible. If not, then they are not. Can funds be applied to already scheduled programming so long as that programming meets the guidelines? Yes, absolutely. As long as you haven't received other grant funding from Denver Arts and Venues for that programming, for that same programming, you can absolutely apply. If an applicant has multiple partnerships and is participating in a larger event, could each partner apply for up to 10K separately to support their parts of the project? That's a really good question, Leah. I would love it if you would email me and let's set up a time to chat on the phone about that. In theory, it's a possibility, but I think I would want more information. So, yeah, let's chat offline about that. Our jazz events will be at 2405 Champa. Is this address part of 5 Points? I don't actually know where that address is specifically, so we would have to check on the map. So you can either circle back with me via email or just check on the map to see if that address is within the footprint. Yes, the map is available online. It is in that grant section. When you click on the 5 Points Jazz Grants, you'll see the map there. Are grants with local artists prioritized over touring artists? Yes, we are really hoping to support local artists with this funding. That is not to say that we would completely discount touring artists. It depends if they're performing in a venue in 5 Points. We are really hoping to support local artists with this, but I wouldn't want to discourage you from applying. If it's really bringing great programming into 5 Points, then I would say go ahead and apply, and we'll leave it up to the panel made up of local folks to make that decision. And I'm not seeing any more questions. Once again, my email address is Sonia, SONIA .RAE at denvergov.org. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime you have questions. We can set up a phone call, and if you have any questions about the application or eligibility, just shoot me an email and we'll set up a time to chat over the phone. And I'm here to help you. So whatever you need, if you're stuck on something in the application, let me know. I'm here to help in any way I can. Okay. How narrow is the definition of jazz music? Well, that will be up to the panel, who are all very knowledgeable about jazz. So I know that jazz is, improvisational by nature, and so it's can be quite expansive. The definition of jazz, I would say, go ahead and apply. We'll let the panel decide. I mean, we are really trying to foster, not just look at the history of jazz, but foster a new generation of jazz artists in Denver. So, if you consider yourself a jazz artist, go ahead and apply, and we'll leave it to the panel to decide. Okay, more questions about the parameters of what counts as jazz. I know that's a really hot topic. Yeah, I think we want to be as broad as possible, but you know yourself, if you're a jazz artist, you consider yourself to be a jazz musician. So I would say go ahead and apply, and we'll throw it out to the panel and we'll let them decide. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. Oh, wait, here we go. One more question. Do events supported by grant funding need to be free, or could they also be ticketed? They don't need to be free. I would, they don't need to be free. But we do want this programming to be as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. So I would say, I would say that the panel would probably prioritize. I'm answering for them, and I shouldn't be doing that, but they may prioritize activities that are free to activities that are ticketed. But we know that not all expenses can be met by our grant funding, so it wouldn't be unusual or out of the question for a venue to charge an admission fee. But I think the panel would probably appreciate knowing what that fee is, and they would determine if it's reasonable or not based on the cost of the event and how much of that event we're funding. Oh, my email address again, Sonia, SONIA .Rae, RAE at Denver gov.org. SONIA.RAE at DENVERGOV.org. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you coming, and all the best. Don't hesitate to reach out to me with questions. I'm here for you. Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great day.